What if I told you that most of my sales start in a spreadsheet? Sounds pretty boring, right? But my tracking sheet's the reason I never lose leads, I never forget names, and I never miss follow-up. Because if you're like most small business owners I speak to, you're probably asking, what do I even track? Can I even track without paying for some super expensive CRM? And how do I know who to follow up with first? Well, my pedigree chums, I'm going to give you the answers to all those questions and more, and I'm even going to give you a free copy of the lead tracking sheet so you can start using it too. And this is what it looks like. Nothing fancy, because fancy fails and simple scales. So we want tracking leads to be as admin light and as simple as possible so we can actually execute rather than just putting loads of information into a sheet. So we've got a number of columns here. First is the date to follow up with people. And as you'll see, I've put some 2023 dates in here. If the date is overdue, it will turn red. Then we have a priority. So are they high, medium, or low? If you wanted to change this, you can just click that edit button. Then we've got the person's name. Now, you might think at this stage in your business, it's not worth even bothering tracking. But when you start having enough conversations, which is what you should be doing each day, you're going to start to forget names. All right? I promise you will. So you want to be able to make sure that you can follow up at the right time with the right people. All right. Now, I've also put platform in here because you might be on any of these different platforms, and then you want a way of getting in contact with this person. So it might be the profile URL, it might actually be their email, could be their phone number, depends what information you're collecting, right? Then, what status do they have? So have you sent them a message? Are you nurturing them? Have you sent them a link to book a call? Have they booked a call? Do you need to follow up? Have you closed them as a client? Are they a bad fit? And straight away, you're going to be able to highlight this row. And if I just come here, you should be able to put a filter on it. And then you'll be able to, I'll leave this filter on so you get access to that, but you'll be able to filter by people who have booked calls or people who you are nurturing or whatever, okay? Then, where did they come from? Now, a lot of people will forget to track this, but you need to know what aspects of your marketing are actually performing best in order for you to double down on those things and disregard the things that don't work. So if you're consistently getting new followers and then you're entering into conversations with them and they are essentially more valuable than, I don't know, the people that you go and follow, then you want to make a note of that. Did they send you a DM? Did they come from a live? Do you not know it? Okay. And you could, again, click this edit button here and you'll be able to just add in another item. So it could be from an ad, let's say. And I'll just move that above there and click done. So you can apply to all and that'll go all the way down. All right. So you'll now be able to see add. And then you want some notes as well, because the reason this is so important is, as I mentioned earlier, you need to be able to execute very, very quickly. You need to be able to look at this first thing every morning and go, right, when do I need to follow up with them? Where are the high priority people? And how do I get in touch with them? And what's the last note? So I'll give you an example of how I would work this now. I'll just copy this one down. Let's just say I have had a chat with someone in the DMs who may be interested in the future, but not right now. All right, so I'm obviously going to put today's date. I'll put them as like a medium or a low priority, but I still want them in. Let's say they're called Dave Jones. And let's say I was speaking to them on Instagram. I would then put their Instagram URL there, unless I had their email, something like that. And the status is that I am nurturing them, okay? The lead source, again, we would choose. Let's just say they came from an ad this time. And then wants to speak again in September. Boom. And this is where the questions start to arise, okay? Who even makes it onto this sheet? Because you definitely don't want to be putting every single person that you have a message or sales exchange with in. You only want people who are potentially going to buy in the future. So my answer to that question is follow the money. And I'm going to use that phrase again in a second. If you think that there's ever a chance this person could give you money for what you sell or what you provide, put them in here. So you always have a record of it. It's very, very easy to edit. So let's say this is now August that we have to follow up with Dave Jones. We just hop along and put 12th of August. Cool. And then you'll be able to filter as well and filter out dates that aren't in the future. So you can always just look at today and overdue, which is really, really crucial. So people only come in to our tracker if we think there's a chance we can sell to them. We don't put everyone in. We certainly don't put early stage conversations in where we've just sent one message to them and they've not replied, as an example. Now, the second question that probably is going to crop up for you is, well, what happens when there's like 300 people on here and I need to follow up with all of them? That's where prioritization comes in, okay? So you can use the priority column in terms of your high, medium, and low. So high, I would say there's a good chance of them booking a call or closing very soon, or they've demonstrated a lot of intent. Medium is you think you can get them over relatively quickly. And then low is obviously in the future at some point, or they're not that important for whatever reason. But if they're really low, don't even put them on the sheet. The other way in which you can do this is by looking at the status. So you can prioritize, I would say, from here backwards. All right. So if you've got follow-ups, if you've got people that have booked calls, they're possibly the most important people for you to message or speak to first. Why? Because we're following the money. All right. We are following the people most likely to spend money with us. That's the whole point of this. Is it's a sales fucking tracking sheet. All right. It's not just to stay connected and grow together and all this kind of stuff. This is for people who have a legitimate interest in doing business with you ASAP. All right. And then you would just move backwards. Simple as that. Now, you may want to double down again and change some of these things in terms of the lead source or the notes or whatever. Just keep this up to date. But realistically, you don't need to go and spend thousands of pounds a year on something like HubSpot or, like I did, High Level. And you don't need to go and build anything bespoke that does all these fancy automations if you are just starting out or really starting to build structures and systems in your business. I know a fair few people who are doing over 7 figures a year who still run the entire thing on a Google Sheet, all right? They might have a few different Google Sheets similar to us, but nonetheless, they're using free software and they're keeping it simple as hell. Because trust me, I've tried all the productivity apps. I've tried all the different like to-do list softwares. I've tried, I don't know, like 10 different CRMs, some in my old like corporate role and some in this business as well. And the answer remains the same. Keep it simple. Now, if you want to get a copy of this, all you need to do is hit the link under this video and you'll be able to grab a copy immediately. There's no strings attached. You can just grab a copy and you'll be able to start messing around with this. The key is, though, to make it customized and make it most suited to what's going to work best for you. So if you need to add in another column, for example, you just right click there and click in add column left, whatever. You don't necessarily need to do that at all. But if anything, I'd try and get the number of columns down. But if you want a copy, it's yours, completely free. It's the same part of a system that we provide to our clients. They get a lot more, obviously, but I wanted to just give it for free to you guys and help you out. So if you want it, you can grab a link, grab it from the link under the video. Hope that was helpful, and I will catch you soon.